illuminating energy of pure reason, produce complete freedom from glamour, and reveal the love of divine relationship. So reflecting on the keynote brought to mind the symbolism connected with the great observatories that stand high above the clouds on Mount Palomar, peering into deep space. Equally so with the great radio telescopes of the world that link up as one to listen to the faint emissions of distant stars. And at the heart of this study of the heavens lies the age-old question, who am I? And while intelligent humanity searches the physical universe for answers to this riddle of existence, the spiritual inquirer internalizes the search, exploring the vault of inner space to catch the light of the intuition for answers to the same enduring question. The intuition is a major objective of discipleship training, and one method of its unfoldment is through the study of symbols. And we know that every form around us is a symbol through which a living idea is expressing itself. And as the world is studied from this perspective, the light that underlies any particular symbol is eventually discovered and reveals the quality of the life that brought forth that symbol. So in this new world of luminous qualities, the disciple learns to live and work intuitively, establishing essential relationships with the informing lives of all forms. In the keynote of the conference this year, the term pure reason is used instead of the intuition, but they more or less express the same thing. They are faculties employed on the Buddhic level of consciousness, free from the mechanized whirrings of the concrete mind. And pure reason sees things in the light of the plan, and there is an immediate understanding of their meaning and relationship to other things. In the same way as when the eye beholds a tree or a river or a mountain, what is seen is immediately understood in the context of the surrounding countryside. No mental effort is required to understand how they are related to one another. No straining of the brain mechanism to figure out what a tree is and what it's doing in the scene that the eye beholds. The whole vista is seen, parts and whole are apprehended and understood at once. So entrance into this world of light is hastened by the practice of meditation in a discipleship group. Together, the band of seekers climbs a proverbial mountaintop high above the clouds of thought forms that block out spiritual vision, to see and listen as one, just as the great observatories and network of radio telescopes do. And here a stand is taken to detect the light of the divine plan and revelation of an inner world of archetypes towards which all forms in the outer world are growing. The light of truth, beauty, and harmony discovered there is concentrated by the group mind, acting as a collective mirror and reflected into human consciousness to stimulate growth in accordance with this archetypal world. So this is the work towards which a discipleship group aspires, to contact the light of the intuition, the illuminating energy of pure reason, and in that light, to see light. It's the creative principle underlying group work and alluded to by the Christ in the words, "If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light." And one of the greatest tools for sharpening our focus on this goal is the Gayatri, with its magnificent appeal to the higher nature. Unveiled to us the face of the true spiritual sun, hidden by a disk of golden light, that we may know the truth and do our whole duty as we journey to thy sacred feet. And it said that when the glory of a man's inner God is seen, when his radiance shines forth as it does in those who have preceded him along the path, then shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. This is a beautiful image that conveys the illuminating energy of pure reason, and one that's well worth holding onto in our meditations. The Gayatri veils many levels of awareness and releases forces in accordance with the spiritual concentration of those who meditate upon it. It provides a wonderful opportunity to become sensitive to higher truth, but this requires a rigorous control of the lower mind so that the intellect doesn't impede or block the light of pure reason. In the science of the emotions, Bhagwan Das refers to the more advanced of present-day humanity as being at a stage when intelligence is attaining its highest development, but overshooting the mark in some quarters, becoming exaggerated beyond its due purpose. And he goes on to give examples, such as the recording of a piece of business that's given more time than the performance of that business, an education that cultivates the outside, that fits for struggling with others and profiteering at their expense, rather than a training which opens the inner man and fits him for real peace with self. And coming back to the point made earlier about truth, he writes that this era culminates when professional philosophers assert that the object of philosophy is the pursuit of truth, when it should in fact be truth itself. He says, not until the springs of pleasure and pain are reached and plumbed, till mere superficial and cynical modes of asking are cast away, not till the human heart is pierced, shall truth be known. And one of the problems created by the burgeoning intellect is over specialization. In a world of such complexity, many wonder if they have to become specialists to properly help humanity. And at some point, it's necessary for the developed intellect to lose its speciality and recognize that it is the synthesis of spirit that provides the key to reality. At the moment, then, it seems that the intellectually polarized hold the lower mind in too much esteem. But on the other hand, it's also true that the more mystically inclined often denigrate its importance. As is generally the case, it's the middle path that's the correct one. All the lower vehicles that make up the I am consciousness, mental, emotional, and physical, have their part to play in revealing the love of divine relationship. When the I am consciousness is transmuted into the higher group state of awareness, encapsulated in the Keynote for Leo, I am that, and that am I. Here, the individual works creatively to distribute the qualities of group love and relationship that he or she has become a conscious part of. And in this connection, Dane Rudger remarks that the individual is the lens, and though the light of all suns and stars be converging upon that lens, yet it is one single lens that focuses the multifarious rays of light. The tragedy, he goes on to say, is that we do not easily accept God and man, the changeless harmony of the universal whole, and the fact that while we have a sense of identity and wholeness as I, we nevertheless are parts of this whole, of this harmony. We don't accept the relatedness of God and man, of man and God. We yearn to be divine, spiritual, but we misunderstand the process by wanting to belittle and perhaps erase our humanhood. So the problem of balancing and rounding out our sense of identity within the context of divine relationship so that we are part of a greater whole while still remaining a fully conscious, integrated individual is resolved by fusing into one the lights of a soul and personality. And our identity is always determined by the power and the quality of the light we work with and express ourselves through. So this opens up the whole field of telepathy and sensitivity to impression. The more spiritually magnetic we make ourselves through invocative meditation, the more powerful and effective will be the energy we invoke into our consciousness and are therefore able to give out to the world. So this naturally supposes a high degree of purity and alignment, as is the case with any magnetized object. And it's encouraging to think we can become so impressionable in a positive way. As we become magnetically impressionable, thought forms are easily sculpted into shapes and colors according to the quality and source of the inspiration to which we attune ourselves. We've learned from our many incarnations as separative, selfish beings how easy it is to conjure up images of desire and to mold thought around them. But working with divine ideas is just as easy once we have managed to lift our consciousness out of the glamours of the astral plane into the stream of intuitional energy that is seeking precipitation on earth. And because we are working with consciousness itself, with the soul of things, we don't have to become engrossed with actual thought forms that we are creating and how they might look on the inner planes. We work instead with energies, qualities, and purposes that we are seeking to bring through. The form takes care of itself as tiny elemental lives on the mental plane are drawn towards the sound and quality we are working with, and they congregate around its spiritual warmth. The higher source of impression we touch, the more beautiful and radiant will be the thought shaped, attracting the very highest type of mental essence through which they can be expressed. And furthermore, the greater the intention, and therefore the closer the created thought forms are to the archetypal plan, the greater will be their longevity, sustained by keeping our inner eye upon them. And the challenge of steadily focusing the inner eye in this way is a difficult one in this distractingly busy world, with environmental impacts, desires, random thoughts that impinge on us constantly. But each time we free the mind of inconsequential thought and build anew in the light of the soul, we are contributing to the salvage of truth and universality. Ultimately, the knowing of truth does not require long, complex mental reasoning, but rather a completely new way of using the mind, and then the soul as an eye to the inner worlds. In group formation, a more powerful point of tension is built with which we can all work. And this brings us back to the imagery of those telescopes on the mountaintop, peering into the vault of the heavens. It is one that we can adopt to stimulate the creative imagination, seeing us standing as a group in isolated unity, and peering out into the field of divine relationship. Thank you.